Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got breaking news coming out in regards to Ukraine to share with you. So, we're going to be talking about the UK and France in this video, primarily the Prime Minister Keir Starmer from the UK. That's the gentleman on the left side of your screen with the gray hair. And also the French president with the brown hair on the right side of your screen, Emmanuel Macron. Okay, so they were just meeting recently. And apparently, this huge report just breaking today on Le Monde newspaper, this is from France, that the UK and France are in direct talks right now to potentially deploy troops to Ukraine. Okay, this is obviously very big news. This would mean NATO troops on the ground inside of Ukraine. And yeah, we have heard this before in the past. Back in February, I believe, we had the French president, Emmanuel Macron, calling for deploying troops to Ukraine, that France alone, if they needed to, they would be willing to send their troops to Ukraine. That obviously has not happened up until this point. But now all of a sudden, France and now the UK are starting to discuss this possibility of deploying their own troops to fight inside of Ukraine. Now, the main reason why they're discussing this is because, well, in January, on January 20th, we will have Donald Trump inaugurated as president in the United States, and we have heard many times that there's a high possibility that Donald Trump will withdraw support for Ukraine completely, and this will leave Europe holding the bag. Okay, so Europe obviously has a lot more to lose than the United States does if Russia ends up winning in Ukraine, as this would be a major security issue for European countries, especially anybody on the front line like Poland and some of the Baltic nations like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, even Finland as well. So it looks like Europe is very concerned about this, and the UK and France may take the initiative and start deploying troops to Ukraine potentially soon, as they're definitely worried about Russia potentially winning inside of Ukraine or gaining the upper hand if the US withdraws its support for Ukraine. So we're going to talk about this some more today. I want to show you guys the actual report from Le Monde. And then also, I want to show you guys a video from X that shows a top UK military chief basically stating that the UK is willing to go to war with Russia if they were to invade a Eastern European nation. Okay, so I'll show you guys that here in just a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and hop into this report real quick on Le Monde. It's not a very long article. I just want to show you guys what they're talking about here. It says discussions over sending European troops to Ukraine reignited with the prospect of American disengagement from Kiev following Donald Trump's return to the White House. Paris and London are not ruling out leading a military coalition in Ukraine. This was just published today on November 25th, 2024. Here's that picture of Keir Starmer and the French President Emmanuel Macron. It says right here, as the conflict in Ukraine enters a new phase of escalation, discussions over sending Western troops and private defense companies to Ukraine have been revived. Le Monde has learned from corroborating sources. These are sensitive discussions, most of which are classified, relaunched in light of a potential American withdrawal of support for Kiev once Donald Trump takes office in January 20th, 2025. The debate about sending troops to Ukraine, which French President Emmanuel Macron initiated at a meeting between Kiev's allies in Paris in February, was strongly opposed by some European countries led by Germany. However, it was relaunched in recent weeks thanks to the visit to France of the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer for the November 11th commemorations. Discussions are underway between the UK and France on defense cooperation, particularly with a view to creating a hard core of allies in Europe focused on Ukraine and wider European security, confided a British military source to Le Monde. And it says here, not ruling out any option. These are comments in line with those made by the French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot on a visit to London on November 22nd. In an interview with the BBC on November 23rd, he called on Western allies to not set and express red lines, okay, that's very big, in their support for Ukraine. When asked about the possibility of sending French troops into the field, he declared, "We do not discard any option." Okay, so we know that throughout this entire year almost, France has been willing to send troops to Ukraine. I think them out of any NATO nation or any European nation in general, I think they would be one of the first countries to do so. Is again, we heard this back in February that the French President Emmanuel Macron was willing to send his troops to Ukraine to fight against Russia and back Ukraine. And Jean-Noël Barrot, him recently coming out and saying that there was no red lines in in regards to support for Ukraine, that France is willing to do anything to defend Ukraine to the very end, okay? So the French Ministry of the Armed Forces and the Élysée Palace have not as yet given the green light to the deployment of conventional troops or private contractors, but for several months now, such proposals have clearly been on the table. One of these concerns, Defense Conseil International DCI, the Ministry of the Armed Forces, main operator for monitoring French arms export contracts and transferring related military know-how. DCI is 55% owned by the French state. Okay, so based on this information, it looks highly likely that the UK and France may definitely consider and potentially even do this, sending these troops over to Ukraine. I think what they're going to do is they're probably going to just start making preparations right now, just in case Donald Trump ends up withdrawing support for Ukraine completely. We don't know if Trump is going to leave Ukraine in the dust. It looks highly likely that he could. But at the same time, it looks like Trump just really wants to push to end this war, regardless of whether it really benefits Russia or Ukraine. But I'm not really sure what's going to happen yet. Obviously, there's a lot of things that could happen, and this war could really go either direction and benefit either side. So we're just going to have to really wait and see what happens over here inside of Ukraine, once we have official confirmation of what Donald Trump's plans are to end this war. Okay, so now I want to hop on over to X, and I want to show you guys what a UK military chief, his name is Rob McGowan. Okay, he was speaking to a defense committee in the UK, and this came out a few days ago. You can see here, November 21st. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this, as he basically states right here, from perception, create reality. Right now, British troops would be ready to fight Russia tonight if necessary, says UK military chief. So that's essentially what he's going to say here. There is some subtitles that looks like it's in Russian here, but it will be in English. So just go ahead and pay attention to what he has to say. It's only 30 seconds long.
The first point I would make is that if the British Army was asked to fight tonight,
Yes.
it would fight tonight. And I don't think anybody in this room should be under any illusion that if the Russians invaded Eastern Europe tonight, then we would meet them in that fight. That would be the first point I'd make.
Thank you, General. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely certain that if the Russians invaded Eastern Europe, the British Army would be there. I'm a reserve officer, so I would probably be there with them.
Британия в самом уязвимом положении. В принципе, достаточно 3 ракет, и эта цивилизация рухнет.
The first point.
Okay, so this information coming out right around the same time where Russia's making lots of major threats to the UK, even with this new missile recently, the Oreshnik hypersonic medium-range ballistic missile, clearly capable, according to Vladimir Putin, stating that they could strike the UK with this missile as well within like 17 minutes. Also, multiple other European nations. So Europe is definitely at threat of being attacked by Russia. And obviously, it looks like the UK and France are concerned that this war is not going to go the correct way as they would like for Ukraine. And Ukraine, what we have seen on the eastern side of Ukraine, Ukraine is consistently having to backpedal a little bit at a time. Russia has made some gains in the last few months in eastern Ukraine. So it's definitely getting pretty scary over there. And it looks to me like the next round of escalation that we could potentially be seeing is maybe NATO troops being deployed to Ukraine. Now, I know that sounds very crazy, but, you know, we definitely have seen a lot of red lines being crossed on either side, whether it's for NATO or Russia, but for sure recently, lots of the red lines being crossed for Russia, and we haven't seen the responses that Vladimir Putin claimed. He claimed many times that if Western missiles would fly into Russian territory, which we've seen happen probably 4 times now, maybe almost 5 times, that they would respond with nuclear weapons, and we have not seen that yet. So obviously a very crazy situation over here. I just wanted to give you guys these details and let you know that looks like the next round of escalation could potentially be NATO troops on Ukrainian soil. But let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.